Well, hello, everybody there. This is Brian Donahue, President of DMI Marketing, and I'm dialing in today from Hingham, Massachusetts. And we're very fortunate today to have a special guest here, one of the America's top young advisors out there, Mark Roulette. And he's been kind enough to share with us today some of his best business practices and some of the key things that he's done in his career and in his business to propel him to a nice volume of sales and success with his clients. So we're going to get into the meat of the presentation in a moment, but I first want to start by talking a little bit about DMI and myself. I'm the president, as I mentioned earlier, of DMI Marketing. We're an independent marketing organization located just outside of Boston, Massachusetts. We've been in business for 27 years, and in addition to all the traditional brick and mortar things that an IMO delivers, like great products, commissions and service, and sales consultants and administration back office support, one of our differentiators is our marketing. And we'll touch upon that a little bit as we go through today's workshop, because obviously one of the goals of this workshop is we'd love to have you do business with DMI, but we want to show you that we can earn your business. And that's, again, a little bit what today's topic is about. We want to show you we can earn your business. So Mark's one of our advisors here at DMI, and like I said earlier, he's been kind enough to share with us some of his, I guess, secrets on how he's become so successful at such an early age. And quite frankly, I think he's just hit the tip of the iceberg. He's got some big goals this year that he can talk about with you on the phone that I think he's going to achieve with some of his practices. So that's a little bit about me, Brian Donahue, a little bit about DMI Marketing. And Mark, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about your company and a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind.
Oh, sure, no problem. I've worked in this industry for about 18 years, 17, 18 years, and almost all of the time I've worked with one partner, Tony May, who I initially started working with part of the mentor program, which I know we're going to touch on. When I started working with Tony, we dealt pretty much exclusively in the estate tax planning marketplace, which is really hard to market to. And you talk about chasing very large insurance-type cases. It's difficult because you can't market to these people, and if you lose one of those cases throughout the year, if you're writing 4 cases and you lose one, it just destroys your whole year.
Sure.
So,
but tell us a little bit about your practice. What does it look like? How many people are in your practice? What's your focus? And you know, what's your demographic and that type of thing?
Well, our focus is probably very similar to most of the people on the phone. We deal, I would say, 80% of our business is in annuities, in the fixed annuity business. The remaining part of it is life insurance, and we have some legal planning that we do. In the office, it's just Tony and myself as the salespeople that see all of the clients, and we see 50% of the clients each. We have 5 clerical staff in the office that do all of our backroom stuff and setting up appointments, working on cases for us, getting all of the paperwork together for a client when they come into the office. And we have 2 attorneys, kind of on retainer. They're not so much staff members. We offer low-cost legal work, which has been just an enormous boost to our business as a result of that. But I would say our bread and butter, most of our business is through.
But it sounds like you've got a really good infrastructure to support people that support the sales and the advisors, you and Tony, and then the legal piece we'll talk a little bit about as we go on, but that's been a very important part of your success. Yeah. And everybody's got a role in the company, so it's a real team effort. There's infrastructure there. You've invested in your business. It's just not you working out of your car per se.
No.
Right? Okay. No. So you touched on this. So you know, there was kind of a problem, right? In any sales situation, you got a problem and then a solution, and then hopefully something is made, a sale is made. Tell us a little bit about the early years of your business and successes and failures, and it's important because it's going to tell us how you got to where you are now.
Well, like I said a minute ago, the estate tax planning marketplace, which most of you are probably familiar with, everyone's chasing that. Everyone's chasing that multi-millionaire, and I was no different. You know, trying to get meetings with those people is difficult. Then you get a meeting, then you get a case, and it could take the better part of a year and a half to go from the point of presentation to the point that I'm actually getting paid. And I was in my early 20s at the time, new kids, wife wasn't working, mortgage, all the rest of the stuff, and it was just really stressful to go through that. And in those situations, you're almost always in competition with another advisor. And you know, the clients going back and forth on price and on every sort of thing. And if you lose that case, I mean, it would almost put a young guy out of the business anyways, because there wasn't a lot of, you know, back savings done at that point.
So these cases, as you said, would take a year or more. There'd be a lot of ups and downs, highs and lows. You'd almost lose the case, you'd get it back. The attorney would come in, the other advisor would come in. You'd have a lot of maybe risk rewards, right? So maybe you'd finally close that case, but you'd lose a lot along the way, or they would just never complete.
Yeah, they never come to fruition. And,
yeah.
and one of the things that was a problem was just I was a young guy, and you're talking to someone who's 65 or 70 years old,
yeah.
who's worth millions and millions of dollars, and,
yeah.
and you're trying to tell them that what they've done to date, not that it's wrong, you just should change something. And in those conversations, I began to think that I needed to change something too in order to have longevity.
Yeah. And don't sell yourself short, Mark. You sold a lot of those cases, because I remember those.
I did.
And they were high six-figure premiums, so you certainly earned your stripes and earned a lot of commissions and did a lot of good work for those clients of yours. But I think I've heard you say this many times before, there was kind of a seminal moment in your life where, in your sales life that is, where you decided to work with somebody else, right?
Yeah, so my partner Tony, I was just really fortunate. I worked for one of the big insurance companies as a captive agent, and I met with Tony during that time, and I had some really large clients that was just, it was over my head, and I knew it was, you know, split the business or lose the business. So I started working with Tony, much to the managing director's misdirection. He didn't want us going outside of the company's demographic. So Tony and I started working together, mentoring programs, so to speak, through MDRT, and it gave me, went from a job to, this is going to be a career, this is going to be something that I'm going to do. We still learn both from each other every day, but working with him really kind of gave me the groundwork for, I can see myself doing this for the rest of my working career.
And we're going to talk a little bit about mentoring a little more later on, and that's
sure.
One of the, but you know, what does that mean, mentoring? I mean, from what I understand, you were doing everything, right? For you were almost a sales assistant, as admin assistant, because you just wanted to be a sponge and absorb everything you could from him, from all his years of experience and wisdom. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, when I worked in that other office, there was a lot of other guys my age, and they wouldn't want to split a case with another guy because they thought they could do it themselves, and it's just not the case. Tony had seen everything, maybe not everything, but he'd seen a lot more than I had.
Yeah.
And you know, situations where you sit with a client and something's not going in the direction that you prepared for. If you're a young guy in the business or a new person to this industry, you don't necessarily know what way to go, and Tony always did. And time again, we had meetings where we would go in with one idea, leave having presented something completely different that I'd never even heard of. So it was an awesome learning experience. I did a lot of the running around and, you know, running illustrations and doing all that sort of stuff. But it was really, it was better than the 4 years that I spent in college before I came into this business.
Yeah, and it's funny, most of the top advisors that we work with here at DMI have all mentored at one point or another in their careers, and they all would say that that was a very important moment in getting them to get the confidence, experience, and learning the proper ways of doing things. And I know Tony was one of those advisors that worked the monster cases, and I think as you guys joined together, you started working on monster cases together, but a lot of those challenges didn't go away, and I think you guys came to some decisions as to what you really were looking for in your business practice. You wanted to change things up a little bit. You didn't abandon the big cases, but you changed things up. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, like I had said, it's difficult, if not impossible, I think, to market to those monster cases. So we both wanted to have something in between, like a month-to-month continuous income flow of business, and getting involved in the annuity side of things was new because all I had done was life insurance to that point. But it's a much faster sales process, as you all know. There's no underwriting. There's no, well, I'm not sure if once the person agrees to it, if they're even going to qualify for it. everyone qualifies for the most part for the annuity contract. So I like the idea of running a business like it was an actual business, and just from what I'd seen, it's you know, somebody could sell cardboard boxes and make lots of money. You sell lots of them. You don't need to be selling, you know, $20 million yachts to make a living. So
sure.
It just took the pressure off of me as the only breadwinner in my household, and it was that was probably the besides meeting Tony, probably the most pivotal moment in my career was to get into the smaller cases and do more of them in a higher volume.
Okay, so you needed to make a shift in how you prospected and how you sold, and really how you operated in the business community, in the retail community. So you started seminars, is that correct? You started to do seminars and workshops, and that was about 15 years ago?
Yeah, so
talk about those experiences, good and bad.
It was great because, number one, it got me involved in public speaking really quickly. And I would do seminars with Tony and our late partner, Bill, who passed away a few years ago. And we would go back and forth on the seminars, but they were specifically on equity index annuities, but they never said the word annuity in the seminar, which I didn't like because it was kind of like a bait and switch, and I would always try to put myself on the other side of the table with the client, and I would never want to be have the wool pulled over my eyes.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that part of it. They were long because they were all dinner seminars. You had to pay for dinner, which was expensive. They were long in that you did an hour and a half to 2 hour presentation, then you sat and had dinner with these people. So you were committed to at least 3.5 hours at these seminars, and I didn't like that part of it. It wasn't that I didn't like sitting and talking to people, but you make the decision to sit at one table to work that table. And if that's the wrong table to sit at, that's the wrong table to sit at. So I wasn't crazy about that. And then they got very heavily saturated in that everyone started doing them, and you had every Tom, Dick, and Harry who was in our business doing them, and maybe not necessarily selling them the right way, which gave, you know, a bad name to, you know, everyone's had somebody come into their office saying, I don't like an annuity and I don't know why. But some of those presentations by other people were the reason.
Well, you know, the products have certainly changed, Mark, since 15 years ago. They're far more consumer friendly. The surrender charge years and the surrender charge amounts aren't what they used to be. Certainly the caps and the restrictions and the modifiers that index annuities had 15 years ago aren't like that today. They're very intuitive now, uncapped. They've actually delivered tremendous returns. They're simple to explain and understand. So the products have changed. Seminars had to take a change too, right? And I think as seminars changed and products changed, it was all for the good of people out there. So you never abandoned the annuities, but you did abandon those type of seminars because you felt it was saturated. They weren't very transparent. They were very costly for you. I think you'd admit to that. But you certainly did make a lot of sales. So what happened? What happened?
Well, we went off
because you're producing a good. Excuse me. You're producing a good amount of volume. We'll use that $3 million amount, and you seem to be doing that year in and year out. But something then changed seismic for you guys, where you've got to the point now where you're doing $15, $20 million a year and doing a lot of good things out there for people.
Well, I mean, we kind of felt like we plateaued. We stopped doing seminars on a systematic basis. I think the big thing was that we were trying to do too much in our office by ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think you got to know what you're good at and know what you're not good at, and just focus on what you're good at. And all I wanted to do was just see people. So we went back to the seminar system about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Through you guys. Yeah. Through Damon Latanzi. And it was just simple. It was just easy. I didn't have to do anything. Tony and I would have meetings about, let's do this marketing idea, let's put the seminar together. And it just took so much time, and sometimes it didn't come to fruition because you're busy trying to sell, you know, cases. So this was just simple. Damon came up with a seminar. We refined it to what we wanted to have done. And really, I didn't have to do anything. I just tell them, this is the date I'm going to do it on. This is the place I want to do it, the hotel I want to do it at. And that was it, and I just have to show up on the night, give the seminar. The phone calls were done. Everything was done, which had similarities to what we did initially, but it was much quicker. We've had lots of people say to us at the seminar, you know, there was 3 other seminars I got invitations to, and there were dinner ones. I don't want to sit there for dinner. I just want to come in, I want to get the information, and I want to leave. And our seminar, introduction to the end, is less than an hour long. so the people get home, and that's all they want, and I get home.
Okay.
You've had a chance to talk to everyone.
So this is where we got a little DMI plug here, folks, on the phone call and on the WebEx. So what you did, you adapted our Social Security workshops, as it says up on the slide there, and really gave you a complete turnkey system from invitations to fact finders to software to the actual PowerPoint and scripts to the post seminar process, meeting materials, everything soup to nuts from the minute you send out that invitation in the mail to the minute you sign the app. Everything was pretty much laid out for you. It was all in an assembly line. It was simple. It didn't stress out your staff, didn't stress out you guys. It was really was a plug and play, and it made your life simpler.
And it works.
And it works.
I mean, I think everything. You know, people there's a call center that the people call into, and you're all probably aware of it. They'll book their invitation or book their reservation there. We get it notified through email. Everything is just taken care of. The whole marketing part is taken off of our table, so we don't have to deal with it. And it's a continuous thing in that seminars that we're doing, for instance, next week, the ones that are organized for April and May are already set in stone and they're already happening, so we don't have to do a seminar, do a bunch of appointments, say, all right, that was great, okay, let's go back to the drawing board, and where are we going to go next?
Yeah, and talk about that. As a sales advisor, and I was an advisor for 9 years, we all get some sense of anxiety and desperation and paranoia, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but talk about the difference between your first workshop and your last workshop, and what has changed for you in terms of your experiences and your process and your results.
Well, we've seen what works and what doesn't work, and the fact that we're continually doing them, and we know, you know, everyone will do a seminar, and we do seminars. Not a lot of people show up, and they're not, you know, the result that you hoped, but that's just going to happen in the process. The time of year, weather, everything affects everything. Yeah. But you know that they work because they've worked for us really, really well over the last few years. It's a case of you just get better at the presentation. You know what you should say. You know what you shouldn't say. The big thing that I say non-stop during the seminar is that we sell annuities, because I don't want people coming into the office not thinking that they're going to get talked to about an annuity. We offer other services as part of our seminar package, the Social Security timing reports, the legal documents that we offer. We're constantly referring to your income gap, the difference between what social will give you and what you actually need, and through an annuity. There's no shame in that. I think annuities are the greatest thing out there. So we talk about them nonstop, and when people come in, the expectation is already set, because the most important thing for us is time, right? I mean, you only have so many hours in the day. You can only see so many people. So I want to see people who want to see me to buy an annuity. I don't want to see people who want to show me their brokerage account and stay with the broker because they've known them for 25 years.
And I think one of the biggest things that propelled you guys was the willingness to commit to these. And we see a lot of advisors here at DMI that will do a workshop or two, and it doesn't go off as maybe they had hoped or expected, and they didn't get maybe the results, but they stop. Yeah. And if you had looked at your results and experiences from your first workshop versus your last, would you have said that that was a big success?
Absolutely. Our first seminar, we had, I think we had 8 people came to the seminar. We might have scheduled 4 or 5 appointments out of it, but that's a failure, right? A waste of time.
But you didn't give up.
No, we have a seminar next week, and I think we have 6 to come to the seminar next week.
So you've perfected every part of the work, like anything, right? You're practicing, you're getting better, you're getting better, you're getting better, to the point now where you're producing massive amounts of business and doing a lot of good work for people. And, you know, the transparency part is very important. You're making it clear to people that you're not just offering Social Security advice. It's all part of a retirement income plan.
And people want to know that. People don't want to sit in the seminar for an hour saying, how's this guy making his money? Yeah. You can't possibly be making his money for Social Security, because the first thing you say to them is, you're not from Social Security office, so clearly you're there with an agenda. So
you talk about how you get paid, you talk about what you sell, you talk about what they're going to be seeing.
I talk about it straight away, so it puts their mind at ease.
Yeah.
This is what we do, and this is how we make a living, and it puts their mind at ease. And if they don't want it, doesn't matter. I mean, there's 15 other people that are going to come.
Do that in the first workshop.
No, okay. We would talk about everything else, and we wouldn't mention the word that's what we were doing. We're an annuity, so yeah, it's vastly changed over that period.
And you find that the cost is relatively inexpensive.
It's for what it's worth. For what,
yeah.
and I listened to one of your webcasts a couple of weeks ago. If you could spend $1 to make $5, spend $5 and make $25. And it's so inexpensive to do this because there's no food. We do it on a Tuesday, Thursday. It's a good time to do it from a restaurant or a hotel standpoint. So it's very, very, very inexpensive and very effective.
And running a great practice like you do, Mark, takes more than just being a great advisor. You've got to be a good businessman, right? So you're wearing a lot of hats, and you know, you're not just an advisor 9 hours a day. You're a legal guy, and you're an accounting guy, and you're an admin guy, and you're the HR guy because you're the owner, right? So you're wearing multiple hats. So you understand, because you've had some success and experience, that you know you've got to spend some money, and you've got to give it some time. And you know, part of this workshop, this webinar today, folks, is maybe we can help you shortcut a lot of the problems and frustrations you might have if you want to get into this type of business. So talk about a little bit of what that's given you, the success and 3 years experience and all the things that are coming with these workshops.
Tony and I always talk about this, and again, this just sounds like a direct promotion of you guys, but because you do all of the stuff that you do for us, all we do is we end up showing up at the seminar, and what a great way to spend an hour to talk to 40 people who didn't know you an hour ago.
Yeah.
40 people, call it 20 units, you know, husband and wife. But what an amazing use of time. So you have a constant amount of constant flow of appointments coming through the office.
Yeah.
You get better at your presentation. You get better at talking about the specific products that you're talking about, and just as a result of that, you sell more. You come off as more confident when you're talking to the clients, which is what they want. And you're having people, like I said earlier, that are coming in knowing what they're coming in for. So it's not a surprise to them when you start pulling out guaranteed income benefits or whatever you've decided that it suits them best. But that takes huge amounts of pressure off because you're not trying to chase 5 cases down. That you have 5 open cases. You have 25 open cases, and you know that the majority.
Well, it kind of comes full circle, right, Mark? Because we started off this webinar talking about the big cases, the elephant cases, where you would go 4, 5, 6 months without writing an application. You're working these monster cases, which would pay monster commissions,
right.
But you know, you get a sense of stress and paranoia and anxiety because you haven't written a case in 3 or 4 months because you're working on 2 or 3 mega cases. So, you know, speak to this. I think people would like to know that, you know, you're very real, right? I think they can sense it on the call. But last year, you do your business in New England, we were hit by some of the worst snowstorms we've seen in a century here, and it completely screwed up all your seminars and all your workshops and all your appointments and your flow, right? And what did that do to your mental psyche and attitude, right?
It killed me. The first quarter of last year, we had a seminar set up for, I think it was the week that all that snow hit. And we had 120 people over 2 nights, I think it was over 2 nights that were going to come to seminars, both of which got canceled. We got to reschedule one, but still, it just destroyed me. So I asked Damon if he could set up a dinner meeting with another advisor who's just somebody I really respect, who writes a ton of business. And he did, and we went out for dinner up in Dedham, I don't know, some Thursday afternoon or something like that. The guy walked in, he said, listen, I want to tell you, I never do this. I never would go out with another advisor. I'm doing it because I like Damon and I like DMI. And we sat down, and I wasn't asking him what his day-to-day operation was. I just came straight out, and I'm like, I'm stressed. Haven't made any money in about 3 weeks. And he talked about, you know, how did you do in the past? What do you got going in the future? And I think it's all going to come full circle. He said, we're all in the same boat. We're all losing out on business. So it kind of put me back to the way I felt when we were doing the big cases, to be a month without a paycheck, which is kind of scary. But it did. It came right back. And I think last year I had probably my biggest year that I've had so far with annuity sales. But just listening to this guy talking, who'd been doing it for a lot longer than I had, and had obviously had lulls too, and he talked about it as well, that we're all in the same boat. There's no secret magic to this. It's just do what you do well and let somebody else do what you don't do well. Stay with it. Keep doing the seminars. That was the big thing. I mean, if our first seminar had been a a telltale as to how everyone would have gone, we wouldn't have continued doing them. We would have gone and done something else in some other direction. But they definitely work. Tweak it to the way that you want it to.
Yeah, and we're not saying it by any way, folks, that everybody on this call should be doing workshops and seminars. We're just offering you one potential avenue to go down. If you're looking for a sense of confidence, a sense of business flow, a sense of, knowing where you're going, what the plan is, what the expectation is, you're struggling with seeing people consistently, seminars and workshops can be one way to alleviate a lot of that. And Mark's firm and Mark himself have been able to perfect this to a high level, to the point where he's got a constant flow of people to see, a constant flow of commissions, constant flow of cases, and eliminates a lot of the stress and anxiety that we all face as business owners or self-employed commission people, because that's really what the name of the game, folks. If you're not on your game and you don't have a sense of direction, where you're going, where your next sale's coming from, then it's a tough way to be operating in this business. So seminars and workshops can be that fix, or at least one possible fix. So, Mark, any final words? I want to thank you very much. I think you've been very generous with giving us a lot of your pearls of wisdom. You talked earlier about mentoring. We're going to be introducing the DMI mentoring program this month here at DMI, where select advisors will be able to actually mentor with some of our top advisors from around the country on a monthly basis. So stay tuned for that. But Mark, anything you want to give to the audience here about workshops, seminars, or your practice?
I would like to thank you guys. I mean, really, with Damon coming on board, and we worked together before that, but Damon coming on board took my mindset into this is an actual business I'm running, and January 1st every year wasn't going to be another first year in the business as to, okay, where's the business coming from? So it made me feel like this is an actual, we're running a proper practice that's going to have a continuous flow of business. So I would highly recommend you guys. I think you're fantastic, so I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We recognize here that you guys on the phone call today can get products anywhere. Your challenge isn't products. Your challenge is, how do I get in front of more people? How do I build a better business? How do I have a more flow of people to see and business to write? And working with DMI Marketing, we believe we can provide a lot of that. So the next steps would be what you see on the screen here. You can go through our website and contact us, or contact myself, Damon Latanzi, or David Fanara, three of the key executives here at DMI Marketing. And Mark, thanks again. Can we have you on again?
Sure, if you'll have me.
Well, we certainly would love to have you again. So again, thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.